Hello, on page 25 in our packet, we're going to talk about sales tax, gratuity, which means tip, markups, and the total cost. And those are defined on that page. Before we do that, though, I just want to concentrate and focus on the sales tax because each of these are similar. And we're going to be given a situation and we're going to show that we can work with this in three different ways. So let's practice this before we get to page 25. It says Marisol purchased a sweater for $20. The sales tax was 8%. How much tax did she pay? What was the final cost, including the tax? So, just like when we're working with discount and sales price, we can use a proportion. We can use our equation, part equals the percentage rate times total, and we modeled that with a tape diagram. So let's go through those three ways. We're going to focus right now on just the proportion method. And before we start, we're going to focus on the fact that the sweater costs $20 and the sales tax is 8%. So when we purchase something, most states charge a sales tax. So we're going to start because it says how much tax did she pay? We're going to start with the 8 out of 100. When we're given a percent, we immediately know that this is the number over 100. Proportion means I need two equal ratios. And I want to know the tax amount of money, so I don't know it, but I do know that it's based on spending $20. So that would mean if it's 8%, it means I'm paying 8 cents for every dollar I spend. So now we're going to cross multiply. And once we have 100x equals 160, we're going to go ahead and divide to eliminate the 100. So this eliminates, leaving x, and remember x is the tax money I'm going to pay for tax, and 160 divided by 100 would be 1.6. So now remember, we're paying money, so this would be $1.60. This would be the tax. So let's look at the bottom part that says how much was the final cost. Well, it gives us a little clue that we're supposed to add. So we're going to take the money amount, which is $20, and I have to add the tax. Now you notice that the tax has dollars, dimes, and pennies, so I want my $20 to include the dollars, dimes, and pennies because I have to line up the decimal point for the tax. And so altogether, she would pay $21.60. So now let's go over to the equation method. For our equation method, we have the same information. We're being asked to find the tax. So we're going to use part equals rate times total. So I don't know the part that Marisol is going to pay in tax right now. And I do know that they mentioned 8% tax rate based on a total of what she bought. The total cost of the sweater was $20. So we're going to keep the variable p. We're trying to find that part. We're going to take 8 and divide it by 100 or scoop the decimal over twice. That would look like this. I get rid of the percent and I scoop once, twice. And in this case, it's an empty loop. So it would be 0.08. If you did it on the calculator, it will give you that placement zero that we prefer times the $20. And so pause and use your calculator. And we've seen this answer before. We're going to go 1 and 6/10. And again, because we're talking money, this would have to be dollars, dimes, and pennies. And if you use this method, the good news is the final step is exactly the same. We're now going to take the $20 that Marisol paid for the sweater, and we're going to add $1.60. We're going to get exactly what we had using the proportion method. So this second step is the same, to add the tax. So now let's try the tape diagram. If we model this with a tape diagram, we would start with the tape diagram, and this is 100% of the cost. And the cost is $20. But here's where the part is it's different. We don't cut off part of the tape diagram. In fact, we're paying sales tax, which adds a percent onto it. So if I wanted to find just the tax, I'm going to work with this 8%, still based on $20, and I'm going to use exactly this equation we just used a minute ago. We would put 8% times my $20. And since we already did it, we know that we're going to get $1.60. However, here's where the tape diagram and the total differs a little bit. Again, if I drew this tape diagram, this is 100% of the total cost of $20. That's what that represents. But we're attaching or adding on to this tape diagram with a little bit more, 8%. And since we're attaching that, that's what we would do with the percents. We're going to add the percents before we begin. And that would be 108%. And when we work with sales tax and discount, we subtract part of them, the percent that they give us. But in this case, we're adding it. It's including the tax. So our new equation would look like this, and this only works if they're asking us to find the total or final cost. So I'm going to write part equals 108%. So that seems really strange, times 20. We still have to scoop the decimal, or we have to take 108 divided by 100. We still need this not to be a percent. We need it to be a decimal. So we have 1 and 800ths, the decimals after the 1 this time, times 20. So pause and use your calculator, please. And hopefully this looks familiar to you. This is what the calculator will say, 21 and 6/10. And once again, if we just attach the 0, it's the same exact answer that we got using method 1 and method 2. So method 1 and 2, we have to add the dollar amount. But with the tape diagram, we add the percents before we begin our calculation. So if they ask for the final cost, this tape diagram would just take one step of adding and then calculating, where this one takes 2 steps. And since you're the one doing the math, you're going to have to decide what one is more efficient for you.